set that aside for just a second. There's a few things I want to talk about. All right, first thing I want to talk about was OSU School of Medicine field trip from last week. So I know that it's not like super hands-on kind of stuff, but I really like this activity for us just simply because you're talking to students that are actually going through stuff that you might be going through. Understand that when you come into Biomed, we don't expect everybody to come in here to end up wanting to be a doctor. Okay, that's not the goal. But if that is something that you are interested in, or you're interested in any of those fields that kind of lead you to being a doctor or practicing medicine in that way, OSU School of Medicine seems like a really good venue. Ashley usually does our mock interviews, like we have mock interviews in the springtime, and so she'll usually do a mock interview. Dylan, her assistant, is doing it this year because Ashley's actually moving on to bigger and better things. But think of it this way. So you already have a contact with these folks from going to that field trip. You have an additional contact with these folks when we do the mock interviews. So chances are more than likely that they will probably remember having spoken to you at one point or time. And then granted, that's the registrar's office. One of the little sessions that you went to probably talked about that path through there and how, I want to say that there were 1,500 applicants for 450 spots. I don't know, maybe 4,500 for 150 spots. My numbers are all messed up right now. But at any rate, there were a ton of applicants and a few spots. So getting your foot in the door and getting those contacts and having that stuff on your resume is a really good deal. One of the other things that they talked about that they highly recommended was, make sure that you're active in your community. Here's the deal. Mrs. Newman has for years tried to get us like legit biomed shadowing and stuff set up at the hospital here in town. But with COVID and with your age, it's really hard to do that because you guys are younger, because you're under 18. So it's been a difficult thing. However, I have had several students in the past who have said what they mentioned in our session at least, that they go to their family doctor and they say, hey, I'm in Biomed. And they talk a little bit about the class and what this is for, et cetera, et cetera. Can I come shadow you maybe in the summertime or over spring break or over Christmas or whatever? I mean, you're not going to go out there every single day after school and, have a job or anything like that, but pick a few times to go out there and shadow and see what it's about. Do the same thing for your dentist. Do it for the veterinarian. Do it for those different professions, and then you can add that stuff to your resume. And they are much more likely to say to you guys, because they have a reputation with you guys, oh, hey, we can do such and such. Or maybe I can't do it, but they might set you up with somebody that is. They're going to respect the fact that you took the initiative. And like I said, they already have a rapport with you, so it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to do that than for us. Even if you don't ever want to be a dentist or you don't ever want to be a veterinarian, it's still, you go in there for one day and say, hey, I experienced blah, 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 this and that. And there's still going to be things that are going to be the same across the board too. However, like I said, we don't expect everybody that comes in here to want to be a doctor or nurse or something in that kind of line of profession. Biomed field is way open. There are lots of things. One of the things they talked about, the career journal for the toxicologist, there's a few people saying, oh, I wouldn't want to do that. And I'm like looking at the salary on there, and I'm like, you know what, if I ever aren't a teacher, I'd probably want to do that right there because I can still make a pretty decent amount of money. And antisocial self, I can get in my own little room, do my little thing, nobody bothers me, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The other part of that is, like the respiratory therapy program at Eastern, like the toxicology, those are things that, okay, maybe that's not your end point, but that's something that you might do as a job while you're working to get wherever you want to get. And those jobs are things that, maybe they're not as much money as you want to get, ideally, but there's still money that can help you pay off those loans or not take out loans to be in. Hopefully every one of you guys went through the session where they talked about loans. The idea is you don't want to have as many, you want to not have loans. And if you do have loans, you want them to be unsubsidized loans. But the thing is that when you go through several years of schooling, you end up taking out loans. But those things are the ones that come to bite you. But if you can have a job at the same time that you're going to school, then that can pay for your schooling, and it looks good on a resume whenever you do go interview for med school if that's what you want to do. So just keep in mind that there's tons and tons and tons of careers that are out there that are biomed careers, and they don't just have to be doctors or nurses. But I do like the setup of the OSU School of Medicine. And they do seem like, you're not going to be lost in a sea of hundreds of people within the classes. They do sound like they kind of take care of you. When they find a prospect that they think is going to be really good, well, they're putting in an investment in it too. So they want to make sure that you end up being a really great representative of their program. So that's why they put that time and effort in there. Jaden, what was your question? I just had it and I forgot it. Oh, juniors and seniors kind of thing. Okay, so yes, I did want to talk about that because we have several students that, while they're in high school, sometimes they take college courses. We have students that go to Eastern first to get all their basic stuff out of the way, and then they go to OU or OSU or UCO or Northeastern, East Central University, stuff like that. We have students that go to East Central and then go on to OU or OSU or stuff like that. So those are things to keep in mind too. You don't have to immediately get into the most expensive college around. What you do need to do is make sure whatever path you choose, this is the schools that I want to go through, make sure that this school's credits transfer to the next school that you want to go to. So Eastern, a lot of Eastern's credits most likely transfer, but there are some schools that they're not going to take that class for. Your folks, you guys need to make sure that you're doing that research and looking into that. Just call the registrar's office and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I want to go to Eastern first because it's local, it's cheaper, I don't have to do room and board, I can live at home still, I don't have to drive a gazillion miles away, I can afford it. And then I want to take that and go to blah, 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 blah school. Or I want to go to your school, I guess, since you're calling them up. These are what kind of degree plan, what kind of credits, what kind of classes, will they transfer over, and ask them that. And they'll tell you, that's their job to tell you that stuff. But make sure you do that groundwork because sometimes credits don't transfer. For Biomed, you can earn college credit from our classes as well if you pass those EOC tests. So we had a student just last year, I think she ended up with 15 credit hours just from the Project Lead the Way stuff. The only thing was one of the classes she didn't take the credit for because it didn't transfer the way she wanted to at the school that she went to. So no really big deal, she just didn't run through. For us to get it to transfer to Oklahoma schools, you have to go through Missouri S&T. So you contact Missouri S&T in Rolla, Missouri. You have to pay the fees, blah, 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 and stuff like that, and then you get the credits for it, and then they transfer it to your school. So that would be another thing, whatever school you're going to, will that credit from Missouri S&T transfer over here? I think lots of the bigger schools, they do. Some of the smaller ones, they may not. But once again, double check anyway. Even if it's OU, and we've had a student before go there and had it, you check again. Things always change. So yes, you are still paying for the tuition situation for that, but you're not paying books and you're not sitting in those classes that you've already done. You got credit for it. Sometimes they only give you as an elective credit, but in your degree plan, you still have to have elective classes as well. So it doesn't hurt, but you got to look into those things and find those things out. But like I said, I really like that trip because it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on and what to look for. And it gives you a foot in the door because honestly, that's like all of Oklahoma there. And you notice there really weren't that many students in that activity camp, whatever you want to call it. So it really didn't have a whole lot of folks that were there. So I think that's good for us. Any other questions about that trip? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is abstracts. So here's the deal. Really, all in all, not too horribly bad. I think the worst grade on it was like a 65 in there somewhere. A few of you got bit because you didn't turn them in on time. It's a test grade. You don't want to do that. That's going to kill you every single time. It's 25% off right off the top. Biggest mistakes and most common mistakes are the easiest to fix. When I grade, and I guess I didn't bring it with me. Did I? Oh, no, I did. When I grade that, this is sitting right there next to me. So things like missing the article citation, that's points off. Not having name, date, in a header, that's points off. And those are points that you should not be missing. Those should be easy points for the abstract. If you're not sure how to do a header, come talk to me before the abstract to do, and I'll be happy to show you how to do that. I mean, I know how to do it like the back of my hand in the Word document, but we can figure it out for a Google Doc as well. Or you can Google that, how do I put a header on a Word document, and it'll show you how to do that. Those are easy points. Not too many issues with font and spacing, but a few, so watch that. Because when I go in and I see that the spacing is wonky or there's extra spaces where they shouldn't be, I'm like, okay. And I fix it, and I see how that affects your length. So if it affects your length to where now you're only on one page, then that's points taken off. If it affects your length where you're still a page and a half, then spacing is still an issue, but it's not going to be as many points taken off for that. Those are easy things. Watch those. The other really easy thing is proofreading. For the love of Pete, send it through spell grammar check. It's going to catch all the things that I see on there. You know what you're trying to say, and so you're just moving along saying what's in your head, but it doesn't always make sense, and it's not always spelled correctly, and when there's those little red wavy lines underneath it, I'm like, well, dude, it's telling you right there that it's spelled wrong. Take a minute and go back and fix it. Most of the biggest issues this time were what you're saying isn't making a whole lot of sense. And most of that's probably from leaving it to the last day, last minute kind of situation. Don't do that. The next one that you do, you're going to do it even worse because now you're in a habit of doing that. And anything that I mark on there, make sure you read the comments, because when I mark on there something like, okay, citation's missing on this one, and you turn in your next one and it's still missing, I have absolutely no problem taking those points off again. Because I told you before all of the things that were wrong with this rubric. So at the very least, that stuff should be fixed for the next one. So you need to slow down. You'll usually have a month for it. So slow down. On one page, read half a page, do a paragraph from that. Then if you need to, set it aside. Then come back, read the next half of the page, do another paragraph from that. You guys were like Christmas lights. So it's due in an hour, I gotta hurry up. And so you're putting one sentence from here and one sentence from there and one sentence from there, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you're just picking a bunch of stuff and going through there. So find 2 or 3 things find 3 or 4 things that are interesting in the article and talk about those. Those will give you 4 decent paragraphs. Then in 3 of those 4 paragraphs, go back and get a quote that you like and then talk about that quote. It's gonna be a lot easier to do it if you don't put it off, and if you try to focus on things that you're interested in within the article. So I know swelling probably isn't your favorite pastime for reading, but it's a little bit better than reading out of the textbook. I mean, at least it gives you something somewhat interesting. So don't put it off that long, because those are where those mistakes come up. And don't put stuff away while I'm talking. That is really super irritating, guys. My goodness gracious. It's Monday. Don't do that on Monday. Rubric for the next course file check. Next course file check is next week. We'll have all of this stuff taken care of this week except for the heart dysfunction stuff. Heart dysfunction stuff we'll pick up next week because that goes along with the dissections. Keep in mind that for the autopsy report for Anna, there are components for each of these assignments that should be on that abstract. We already said that there's 4 things from 122. There is at least 1 thing from 123. There is about 3 items from 124 because that was our histology, and there's 1 from 125 where it's talking about, since this is all about the circulatory system. But beyond that, you should have your cause of death stuff filled out, manner of death, mechanism of death. We don't know exactly because we still have more systems to go through, but you can put tentative stuff down there, and if you want to use a Post-it, you're more than welcome to do that. So if you feel like you're going to change your mind, slap a Post-it on there so that you have it, and then we can roll from there, because you can always replace a Post-it. Questions? Oh, wait, let me go through the rest of the submissions real quick. So that homework packet is due on the 12th. That's next Tuesday. That's in class because it's hard copy. So as you walk in on Tuesday, you're turning that in. Course file, you'll just leave it with me on Wednesday. I'm going to guess that over fall break, you're probably not going to do a whole lot of PBS, so just leave it with me. And then the week when we come back, we'll have our Unit 1, Lesson 2 test. I'm gathering up the review stuff so that you have things just like the last test that you can do, and I highly recommend that you do it. It's not a grade. It's not assigned. It's not required. But those that did it last time did better than those that didn't. So I recommend that you do it. Career Journal, that's tomorrow end of day, right? Yep, tomorrow end of day. 124 submission, 5th, 6th, that's Thursday by end of day. I went ahead and put this date on here for the EOC. This is like our semester test. It's on December the 9th. That goes in as your semester test grade for PBS. I'm putting it on here now so you can tell coaches, sponsors, whatever at your home school to make sure that you can be here to take it. You don't have to come before school, after school, anything like that. We do this during class time on the 9th. But if you're not here to take it, a 0 goes in for a semester test, which is 10% of your final grade, which will kill your grade. And then it stays in until we get that made up. But if report cards are printed before you can make it up, then that's going to end up being on your report card. So we need to make arrangements. Sometimes people can't be here, then we can take it the day before. Doesn't matter to me, but we need to be thinking about that now. And then May is the AP biology test there. You do have to be here. Well, you guys don't have to be here until 11 o'clock, something like that. I'll have to go back and look. 11. I wrote it down to help me remember. Any other questions? All right, now, put it away, head to math, and I will see you guys tomorrow.